Namaste Galactic family, and welcome back to the channel. Today I have a special guest. This is my dear friend John Shaughnessy. John is the Moon Man, and I just want to thank you, John, for being here. And it's been a while since you've been back on my channel. I think the last time that we did a video together was back in April of 2019. And last time you were on, I believe we did a video on lunar mechanics and the age of the Cobra and the Ice Age and how it's all tied into the Earth and to the relationship with the Moon. And so I'm going to leave some links down in the description so everyone watching today can go check out the last video that we did. But thank you so much for being here. And how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Just rolling with the pandemic, taking it easy. It's getting to be winter in New England and, the seasonal changes, and just came off a big trip like yourself in Egypt back in February, March. So I got to go, huge downloads. When you're there on the ground, boots on the ground, things are coming in completely different from, Googling pictures and watching videos on YouTube. It's just a very profound experience for me, and really solidified my theories with the moon, the pyramids, and the mechanics that you talked about earlier. And it was just amazing. I just got in there right before the pandemic kicked in and they started cutting the flights out. So I just eked it out, and they just got back into the country before they shut the doors. So it was actually worked out pretty good. Although I wouldn't have mind staying over there for 3 or 4 months in Egypt anyways. It's a beautiful place to just be and just meld into the environment. Great people, great food, and there's always something to see. My God, it's just amazing. Every day was an adventure.
Yeah, so I was just there too. Where all did you get to go and see? Like what areas specifically?
Yeah, I started up in Cairo, got to the pyramids. Went to a lot of the temples up in that area. Then I took a in-country flight down to Aswan. Went to Elephantine Island, the Aswan Quarry, I think it's Isis Temple on an island out there, and in the Nile. It was like, Karnak was another place that I had a real profound experience. And it's just I gotta have, it was like 20 temples in 15 days. It was just I was just spinning, my head was just spinning. So it was a great tour. It's like my tour guide was her name was Megan, and she was just amazing. She's still doing tours. I'll put a link in the subscription there under the video for her. Give her a fair shake, because she really made it happen for me and took me to a lot of places. Pyramid of Dozer. Oh God, it just goes on and on. So yeah, it was,
did you go to Saqqara?
The Serapeum, with the stone boxes. By far one of the most strangest places I've ever been in. And just being on the Nile was a rush. Just being in a boat and just going up the Nile. It's like, put my feet in the water and baptize myself.
Oh, I know.
All over my hair,
Exactly. There's some interesting things too. I mean, we could go in so many different directions, so many different topics by talking about each specific location, because there's so much ancient wisdom within each location. Right. But something I was kind of paying attention to the other night, because I was studying Cygnus, because we have a big alignment coming up with Jupiter and Saturn aligned to Cygnus on December 21st, 2020. Okay. And they were saying that so you went into the cemetery part of Saqqara, where they actually have the king's tomb or the
Mm-hmm.
what were they called? They're like the
King's Chamber,
king's
or
chambers. Where they, well, it was like underground where they kept the tombs, and then they
okay,
have those long archways pointing up and out to the opening.
right,
Well, they were saying that in Saqqara that they would align all of those openings to Cygnus.
okay,
That way, when the pharaoh after like was entering into the eternal life, he would come out of the tomb or come out of the coffin, and then he would
mm-hmm.
come up, and see the door, and then it would point them and guide them right to Cygnus,
Right,
which is supposed to be the
Cygnus.
cosmic womb.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, it's similar to the shafts on GP1. They align with the one of the stars in the Orion Belt, Sirius, and I think there's another one that below Sirius that it aligns with. Yeah, so I think the last alignment was in 2500 BC, if I'm not mistaken. It's Robert Bauval and Graham Hancock's work. Most people have heard
Yeah.
of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Andrew
So I
Collins.
did some, so some great work there, with the alignments of the shafts. And so
Yeah.
it was almost like a way of getting a time stamp on when those shafts were built. In theory, it's like that's the biggest thing on the planet is measuring time and when people did things. Like you'd have people doing things half a million years ago, but how are you gonna, say, hey, we did this a half a million years ago? And that's one of the ways they leave a timestamp. They'll leave a timestamp with shafts or with a stone carving of one of the zodiac figures. That's another way of doing a timestamp. But that only goes for 26,000 years. Because then it just repeats itself.
Yeah.
Part of procession. So it's a pretty monumental task going outside 26,000 years. Yeah. So other than ice core samples, you can go into back a million years if you believe in them. They've gotten some great data on those particular timestamps going back to the beginning of the last ice age, and going further back. I think they've can account for a million years. It's like close to 9 ice ages with separate interglacial periods. But
Yeah, that's incredible.
yeah,
And we did talk about that in the last video that we did together. So
yeah,
again, the link to that video will be in the description. But I also just wanted for
right,
the viewers today, I wanted to show them your books because I have both of them.
yeah,
And they're amazing, incredible books. The first one is Pyramid Gravity Force. And this one's about how the Earth pyramids work, right? So
yeah,
it's
yeah,
basically about a beam that runs down into the core of the Earth from the pyramids, and then this links into 2 major volcanoes. I was
yeah,
kind of peeking at some of it this morning.
right,
Is
right.
that right?
Yeah, it's like all large pyramids on the planet line up with the volcano. And it's like it's ancient engineering. It's like the biggest problem a planet builder has is to managing the magma currents in the planet, plate tectonics. And that's I like to refer to it as Type 3 society engineering. We're just below Type 1. If we don't blow ourselves up, we might get to Type 1. And all
Yeah.
cruising around with electric cars that charge themselves and don't exhaust any pollution at all, other than when they're built. So that was in a nutshell. That's kind of what that book talks about, and it's all geared off of the moon's gravitational interaction with the planet and in the pyramids.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah,
this one I think you really have to kind of be into the occultism of the pyramids to kind of really
yeah,
understand the mechanics of this one particularly.
yes,
I think my favorite book of yours was There's Something About the Moon.
Yeah, it was a classic. Yeah, it's still a good book. Yeah, good read. Got a lot of compliments. And best compliment a writer can get is somebody says they read it twice, back to back. Like put it down and got to the last page, went back to the front, and read it again. So
There's
you
definitely a
were
lot of
right. Pretty
incredible
good.
like research about the moon that's in this book. Just stuff
Yeah,
that I don't think you might find anywhere
yeah,
else. So I mean, it's definitely
yeah,
worth
yeah. I
reading.
co-wrote. Sorry for cutting you off. Yeah, I co-wrote that book with Wendy Salter. She's another researcher, just an amazing abundance of knowledge, lifetime knowledge, studying this stuff. So, and she really helped out with, putting it together. And so it's like I like to split the book up. The first half of the book is hers, and the last half is mine. So but we did work well together, and we did a lot of discoveries together. Images on the moon, that was a big thing. Still
Yeah.
haven't got mainstream to recognize that. Yeah, that those dark spots up there. Yeah, somebody put them up there, and they're actually images. And there's a reason behind those too. There's everything in the cosmos has a reason, especially in a solar system. So. But we're waiting. We're waiting. Just kick back and relax. And so everybody says I'm way too ahead for everybody today, so it's not going to be in my lifetime, possibly. Just put the stuff out there and
I
give
really like how you go into Mu. Um, there's a lot of good stuff about Mu and just just the ancient history of all this stuff, the planet builders, all of that stuff.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I'll go ahead and provide the links in the description today as well. So
yeah,
and if you're interested in any of these books, you can go take a look at them.
right,
I think what's so amazing is a lot of your research honestly ties into the things that I'm talking about most of the time. And
yes, yes,
I think
yeah,
that's why we connect, is it's just mostly about the
right,
synergistic relationship with the moon. And
right.
it ties in on a spiritual level, a cosmic perspective, and then it starts tying us into portals and wormholes and time warps and
That's it.
all kinds of,
Einstein and Tesla and yeah, 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 yeah. It's
yeah.
good. Yeah, yeah. It's
So, yeah, I mean, I guess what I'd like
that's
to talk to
good.
you about today is all that incredible work you just did about breaking down the missing flights.
Hmm.
So the flight Malaysia 370, how this is connected to the moon, and
Yes. Yeah.
so what's happening to these planes, John? Tell us.
Missing planes. It seems like it's the planes. It's like 64. I tracked 64 planes that went missing, and they went missing on the no moon. No, yeah, no moon to the well, it's the new moon to the first quarter or the crescent moon. That early phase, and it's a lot of people have been looking on the planet for portals. We had an engineer, theoretical physicist that worked for NASA, and he spent 10 years looking for portals. And he's recently come out, and he's threw his hands up. He can't find them. He doesn't understand the mechanics. He doesn't understand, that hasn't any serious, explanation of how they exist and how they don't exist. But I read a lot of his papers, and it's like Tesla in the school books today. He's suspiciously absent. The moon is suspiciously absent from his work. It's like, well, how can the portals and stargates, wormholes, they all work on a gravitational interaction with planetary, heavenly bodies. Planets are heavenly bodies that have their own gravitational field, a large gravitational field, like the moon and the Earth's interaction. And so I put out in those 3 videos that there's a thing called the Barry Center, which is the focal point between two planetoids, the Earth and the Moon. There's a if you look at a relaxed if you look at a relaxed sphere like the moon, I got the moon here, yeah, and yeah, there you go. There's a graphic right there. So if you look at the moon and it didn't have anything around it, no planets or anything, you would just have a static gravitational field, okay? But if you put something next to it, like my fist is the another planet, you actually pull the gravitational field. And right there in the picture, you can see the Barry Center right next to the sun. The planet Jupiter actually pulls the Barry Center off of the sun, and the sun also does the same on Jupiter. Now, what I've discovered is that somewhere in the average Barry Center distance off of the surface of the Earth is anywhere from 20 to 40,000 feet, which is generally where planes fly. And when that happens, and you happen to be, in that area where the Barry Center is, and you're flying into it in the same direction, it's actually a stargate or a portal, so to speak, and you can actually, fly right out of space time. And all this is based on.
So this center ring here with the sun, this is the Barry Center.
That's the gravitational field being pulled off, and right at the outer edge of it, where directly across from the smaller planet, the red ring, is where the Barry Center would be. So it's a tiny little focal point that makes up the actual center of the largest torque between these two planets, and that's where you have that stretch in space-time. It'll open up a wormhole, like Einstein theorizes. It opens up a wormhole, and if you're unlucky enough or lucky enough, depends on how you look at it, you fly off into it. And then when the planets are like keys, they're when they fly out, once they move out of sequence, out of alignment, that portal closes, right? So if you look at these, you could just use these two right here as this will be the Earth, and this will be the moon. Not the right colors, but hold on a second, let me straighten this mess up. But
so what exactly, but just real quickly,
yeah,
what exactly is happening? So the planes are going up in altitude. We're coming into alignment with the moon at the crescent moon or the new moon. And then such a gravitational tug at the Barry Center that the plane's just being snatched out of.
Right. Yeah, they're flying. They're actually flying into the Barry Center, which is opening up a portal, and it's a tear in the normal fabric of space time on the planet, and you fly off into it. And then once the moon, which is continually moving, is moving at 336 miles an hour, opposed to the planet turning at 1,000 miles and rotating at 1,000 miles an hour. So or is it 600? I think it's traveling at 600 some odd miles an hour, the moon, but opposed to the Earth traveling 1,000, rotating. So once that turns, that portal, that alignment closes, and that plane is basically trapped in a dimension where time is stopped, right? And the only way that plane can escape is it's got to wait 18 and a half years before that same alignment happens again between the Earth, sun, and the moon. And once that alignment happens again, they'll fly out of it. Now, if they're not, and all of a sudden time happens, the plane hasn't used any fuel, they haven't aged any, and they pop back into this world. And if they're not conscious enough to drop their altitude, they'll get captured again, and they'll be back out for another 18 and a half years. We got a case where a plane disappeared in 1955, flight 214, flying out of New York to Miami. And then 30 years later, it showed up in Caracas, Venezuela. 36 years later, which is two full atomic moon cycles. A dead giveaway. I mean, it's observable, repeatable evidence. So you had this this alignment. There you go. You had this alignment where the metonic cycle matched up again. This plane flew out. It might have flown out 18 and a half years later, and because they didn't take a sharp right or left, they got swallowed back up in it. And it's a very short window of time, that these things open up. I'm surmising, and then
So this here is the moon's monotonic cycle, and this I kind
yeah,
of, like I said before, I got from your
yeah,
video. But I thought this was amazing that it was actually in the shape of a snake.
yep,
Um,
serpent, yeah,
and
yeah.
so this is the cycle that you're talking about, that if the planes get snatched in it, that they're now. Do you think they're riding this up and down cycle of time?
They
Because you
could,
said they
they
know.
could, yeah. It's possible they could end up on the opposite side of the universe and travel at the speed of light, or to a different galaxy, and in a wormhole, a wormhole void of time, right? But they're traveling, and maybe a day goes by over uh, 2 decades, something like that. It's really slowed down as they're traveling through it. So I mean, there's a couple of theories that Einstein was playing around with, when it comes to these particular wormholes. But you can get in them, and once you're in them, everything stops until you pop back out. But in this particular case, this plane didn't pop out at the other side of the universe or twin Earth somewhere. It's possible, maybe they did. Well, we don't know for sure, but they ended up coming back here, and they were 1,000 miles off course. So when this portal opened back up again, two full metonic cycles later, they ended up landing in Caracas, Venezuela. The tower crew sent people out to the plane, and before that, they were talking to them. They were communication with them. They landed, and before a crew could get out to them, they took off again. So they knew they were off.
Interesting.
They, well,
Interesting.
it's very strange. I mean, how that's the thing. Like, your brain might be in panic mode. Like, oh, what are we doing here? I got to turn around. What's the pilot thinking? Maybe he's not thinking. The brain's probably not operating up to 100%. And the passengers, they're all sitting in the plane thinking that they've only been in the air for an hour or two, waiting to land in Miami. One guy's still waiting for his scotch, on the rocks from the stewardess.
So when these people come back from being in these monatomic cycles, I guess, like, in my mind, I'm thinking a couple of
Yeah,
things are happening. Like, magnetic energy clearly plays
yeah,
a bigger role in wormholes or time portals, more so than
yeah, yeah.
radiation or electricity. Or but then also, because I was reading your or watching your video, and it said that the atomic structure reconfigures when they're in these time portals or these wormholes.
Yeah, I think it's anybody got a theory, I'm open to listen to it, because it's just like, how does this plane leave for one full metonic cycle, 18 and a half years? I'm theorizing they came out for a little while, but they didn't get out of the vortex. They didn't drop, go high, left or right. And then they got gobbled up again, and then they were out for another 18 and a half years. The plane comes back in pristine condition, full tank, food, everybody's alive on the plane. They land, so it's like you're in you're in suspended animation. Really, it's almost like cryogenics. They're frozen. You're not aging. You just stay there, and then you thaw out. Theoretically speaking, you're
Okay.
just using that as a metaphor, and then you thaw out, and then you're back. Everything's okay. Like you're operating again. The only thing is you're 33, 36 years into the future, and the landscape doesn't look the same. So this could happen. Like there's 67 out of 250 missing planes. There was 67 of them that I dialed into the new moon to the first quarter, where you have that stretch in the space time fabric of gravity. Gravity causes that stretch. So
So
so basically you have
you looked
so
at
basically you have
67, I'm sorry, you looked at 67 flights and you checked them all to see if they were in altitude at the new or crescent moon.
Yeah. They were at their own altitude, traveling, wherever the different places on the planet. But the disappearance happened between the new moon, which is a no moon, and so say from no moon to the crescent or the first quarter. So what alignment you see there is just you'll see the you know uh, Earth, Moon, and the Sun are you know completely in alignment with like that. And then once the Earth moves out of alignment from the Moon, or vice versa, you have a stretch. You have this gravitational stretch between the two heavenly bodies, and that's where the barycenter lies. And it's 40,000, 30,000, 20,000 feet off the ground, altitude. And if you happen to be flying on that date in the right direction, you're going to fly into that portal. It's actually opens up a portal, and the planes fly right into it. And they happen to go in the right direction, the right speed, and they just flow right into it. And then like once that alignment goes out of sync, that breaks apart, it doesn't come back in for 18 and a half years. Then once you get back to that 18 and a half years, you could pop out again as a plane, like we said earlier. And you know, it's possible a lot of these planes that came back out, they're in the middle of the ocean and they just crash. But if you're in the tree, if you're in the forest and a tree falls and nobody's there to hear it,
Yeah.
that's it. Like you just crash. They might pick up something on the radar, but that they have no. All of a sudden, it just shows up out of nowhere. So they'll look at it as an anomaly, like maybe something like a meteorite or something to that effect. And they won't go out and send out a search party. It just disappears, and that could be something like that. So we got a ways to go before this alignment falls back in. So we're talking 2014 was when Malaysia Flight 370 disappeared. So you're looking at 18, 14, maybe 14 and a half years. We're going maybe 13 and a half years before that portal could open again. And like I said in the videos, it's of paramount importance to figure out what direction they were going last. When this portal opens, keep an eye on all your GPS, all your satellites, and if something pops out in that time frame, day or two, one way or the other, that could be them, and you need to send out Mayday messages to them. So get down, take a left, take a right, whatever, before they just get lost again. So
No,
kind of sad. It was a
it's
very
sad.
sad. It's a very sad story because I know people still suffering from relatively relatively speaking, it was not that long ago. So if I'm sure there's heartache out there, but it's the science is pointing, Einstein, Tesla, those great minds, and this simple observable evidence suggests that these things do happen on the planet. So hopefully, it gets on the desk of somebody, and they can, maybe take it into consideration. I mean, they got 14 years to get it together.
Right. Well, yeah, you were saying, yeah, they need to keep sending signals out to the planes.
Once yeah, once the full metonic cycle passes, that vortex will open. Call it a vortex. It's a portal will open, and keep an eye in that general area for anything that's showing up that shouldn't be there, and that'll tell you that okay, they're back again, and take it serious. Send some planes out there. Dispatch whatever you got. Send everybody out there and go get these people. I mean, that would be amazing. That would be an amazing breakthrough for humanity to actually, you know, lose a plane and then actually capture it again and get the people back safe.
So, I mean, where do you think the wormholes are actually going to? Because I feel that wormholes honestly get a bad rap in like cosmic history, that they lead to something dark, or that they lead to something fallen, or they lead to something, you know,
Yeah.
like it could be potentially like they could be being abducted.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's possible. I just feel like I look at that one plane there that landed in Caracas, Venezuela, and that was like 37 years later, and they didn't seem to be. I mean, the pilot was coherent. They didn't seem to be anything bad going on with that particular crew. But I mean, it could be. I'm talking about this particular wormhole, this particular alignment that's causing these planes to disappear between the sun, moon, and the Earth, where the barycenter is the actual focal point of a portal opening up. Now, there could be other portals that are out there that dark entities are using to come and go, as they please. So it's quite possible. Then you're looking at something completely different. They've mastered some kind of ability to manipulate space time and go galaxy jumping or universe jumping or what have you. But
so what do you think about the Saturn and Jupiter conjunction? Because you said that Jupiter pulls Sun into a corkscrew alignment. So would this be able to also snatch planes out of altitude?
Oh, absolutely. You're talking, Jupiter's massive. It's just an enormous planet. It's so big it actually pulls the sun out of its, trajectory around the center of the, galaxy, center of our galaxy, Milky Way galaxy, and that barycenter has definitely got, a portal open between the sun and the Jupiter. So if we get in our little tin can, Tesla's tin can, and we go flying off the planet, and we happen to, cruise through that, you could end up who knows where. You'd be in another, state of suspended animation. You could be in a larger portal that could, put you on the other side of the universe. I guess the larger the gravitational torque, I would imagine the larger the wormhole, and the larger the portal can be, and the further you're going to go. Again, you got to wait until that alignment happens again, so you can come back out again. Those alignments are a lot longer.
I was going to say, yeah,
27 years, 56 years. I mean, but no big deal. You're not aging. You don't even know you're gone. You're just out of it. So, it's like. I don't think instrumentation works because there's no time. I think once time stops, everything else, because you got to measure everything off of some kind of unit of time.
Well, I definitely think this is just like incredible work. Like this is incredible perception to have came into the awareness that why these planes could have been gone missing, how it connects to the gravitational alignment with the moon and other planets. It really is it's kind of mind-blowing, honestly.
Yeah, it's out there. I mean, it's all. I mean, this theory is built off the Pyramid book and the Moon book that I put out, and a lot of times I'll just write notes and I said, I'll put it in my next book. And I said, well, this is pretty important. People's lives are at stake here. Why don't we just let this one out and just put it out there in hopes that maybe, science will catch up to it and do something serious. Like I was saying earlier, there was a NASA scientist, 10 years, all sorts of money, can't come up with any theory at all, but doesn't mention the moon once. It's like, what planet are these guys on? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they're not on my planet. What reality are you guys living in? I mean, like I was saying earlier, I don't want to repeat myself, but these two heavenly bodies, the moon and the Earth. I mean, these things are stretching, constantly stretching back and forth, and the Barry Center opens and closes accordingly at different locations. Now, I was taking it a step further, and I'm theorizing that people disappear on the ground. So if the Barry Center, based because of the interaction of other planets, like you're talking about, Jupiter's alignment with the other stars, and I mean those particular alignments can open up portals that are closer to the ground, and you could be walking across the ground. If you're unlucky enough to walk into a Barry Center, you could just walk right out of space-time and be gone. You might come back, you might not. There's been a lot of cases out there where people have, they just lock you up and come back, say, I'm from the past, and I just showed up, and they hit you with a needle, and you're in the funny farm. But the truth can be, wilder. The fiction of the truth could be wilder than the actual occurrence there, because these people, there's evidence of people like that, and there's also evidence where people have seen people disappear, like literally gone. You'd hear them speaking, you're in the field, you're talking to them, next thing they're just gone completely. And and what we do is we protect our little realities that we live in, and said, oh, he must have ran away, found another girl or guy, whatever, and something like that. And then we just put them on the missing persons list, and we just move on. But it's entirely possible if a whole jet airliner filled with 300 people doing 600 miles an hour gets snatched out of thin blue sky. One person walking across the ground is easy peasy, So
I think you kind of really hit it on the head with the absence of the lunar perspective, constantly kind of pushed off, because even in cosmic history and Stargate and planetary grids and all of this Stargate networking that we're all doing these days as griders, there's so much emphasis on Stargate portals or Stargate locations.
Right.
But I mean, where are the lunar Stargates? Where are the lunar locations? Because clearly,
but my first bet, and Hollywood's already bounced on it, that they haven't tied the moon into it, but they tie the pyramids into the Stargates. All things being, equal. I think there's been a couple of movies, a little bit of sensationalism, popping from one place to the other, but the basics. I mean, what I follow is the mechanics, like what's driving the energy behind these portals, what's actually, what's actually making them open and close, and that's kind of where I fall in with my theories and equations, and tying things together. But I would have to say, I mean, that clearly, I mean, I was in the king's chamber, lying in the sarcophagus, going, you get in here in the right alignment, you're going to get a download or just disappear. You're going to get an upload or a download. I mean, I was getting, it was a wild experience when I was in there, and in the sarcophagus. So
you laid inside of it.
It was very moving. What's that?
You laid down inside of it. You
laid down in it. Yeah. I was in there for about 20 minutes. Yeah. Who knows? I might have been in there for a whole metonic cycle.
Right? Who knows?
But
I'm actually 30 years older, and
yeah, right. There you go. Yeah, got rid of my wrinkles. But anyways, yeah, I mean, all serious, all kidding aside, it's quite possible that that's how higher beings come in and leave. I mean, we got mature souls that come to the planet and you know, get us on the right track because we're good at going off the track. They come back and get us on the right road. So it's possible they're here right now, and it's like I've been looking at that, and it's possible that that's a portal. Um, I think to activate it, you got to close it back up. All these pyramids are opened up. They're amusement parks now, and if you got to bring them back to their original state, smooth sides, so they're actually lensing the gravitational field to the highest potential point. And you could, it could be like Star Trek with the beam me up, Scotty type of thing. You just you could be on the moon. You could take it. Everything goes to the moon. From what I've learned, it's like all the portals go through the moon first because the planets are outside. The moon's the closest thing to the Earth. It's the highest gravitational torque on the Earth. So you might be a way of planet skipping. You could, go through the moon to Mars, go to the moon to Jupiter, and things of that nature.
I
And
wanted to share
it might have been a mechanism for space travel.
right.
Yeah.
I wanted to share with you this quick clip that I have. I've used this. Can you see it here?
Yeah.
I've used this in other videos before, but this was something that a friend made for me. And it was kind of to like explain how soul incarnations came into the planet. That
Okay.
here's the moon, and then it comes
Yeah.
around, and then it's like
All
seeding.
right.
It's seeding at the high tides.
Yeah. It goes. It goes.
And then souls are like departing. It's kind of like a video game, but souls are like departing at the
Yeah.
moon.
Absolutely. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. Souls are coming in. Souls are departing. Yeah.
And it's kind of how these stargates are functioning,
They
essentially.
open. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the hieroglyphs in Egypt are, it's about soul travel, the boats and things of that nature. And if you look at it like that, I mean, it's like, it's pretty, it's really profound. Like they wrote down how we come and go. How the soul is everlasting. So I've been looking at that lately on, how does the soul maintain its individuality after death and before birth? Like people, there's clear cases of incarnation where people just know stuff that they shouldn't know, and it falls on the laps of incarnation. So they maintain their memory. The soul has a memory, and there's physics behind that. And so it's been a long sought after topic. A lot of people, a lot of books out there on it, a lot of videos on it, a lot of top discussions and theories. But I don't think anybody's really actually captured the equation behind the life of a soul, like
Yeah.
the actual physics behind it.
Wow, that would be really interesting.
Yeah, yeah. So because it's like the soul's everlasting. So I mean, I know I've come in and I'm like, well, how do I know this stuff? Or a lot of people like you can say it's intuitive. You get connected with the what do you call it? The galactic plane, the Akashic records, which is some kind of like a place where people can get knowledge. Maybe we're downloading some big giant CD-ROM somewhere, and it's your time to get back out again. You go to Arcturus for resettlement. You got to wait your 3 years, then you're back in again. And it's all a just a lottery as to what what family or what part of the earth you get rebirthed in?
I was studying a lot of Cygnus cosmology, and
Right.
it was like showing me that there was three different souls that a being
Uh-huh.
has. So you have like the one soul that you come in with,
Yep.
and it's like the breathing soul. The soul comes in at the time of conception or at the time of the heartbeat.
Right.
And then you have the second soul that comes in, that's like the protector or the guardian soul or spirit.
Right.
So that the soul itself is threefold. The second one comes in, and
Yeah.
you get this one at the time of your name or like your first tooth. And then
Right.
there's another soul that comes in that's like the personality soul.
Okay.
But the last two can enter and exit the body throughout the life prior to death.
Wow.
And so
All right.
if one of
Let's
the
see.
other two leave, um, consciously or unconsciously throughout your life, then that's when like
Yeah.
illness and disease sets in and all of these things, is because you're not collected with all three of those unions of those spirits that need to be in the body
Right.
to actually keep the physical health.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was just really interesting to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and it kind of makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I like it. I've never heard that one that before, but yeah, it's definitely opens your eyes. It's there's a lot of those stellies on the walls in Dendera, the little ships, and the cosmic the cosmic water, and it's the it's if you go into the fallopian tubes of a woman, there's when you got the actual the sperm meets the egg, it's like conception, right? But there's four stages of the egg before it gets to the uterus, where it stays and attaches to the wall, and obviously the baby grows, the placenta, the whole 9 yards. But and during that particular process is four stages of the soul, coming in. But if you look at, like, there's a ceiling in Dendera, and to me the little tiny boats that they're standing on, at both ends of the boats, it almost looks like the lotus flower, right? But if you look at the fallopian tubes in a woman, it's the same thing. It's the lotus flower, right? So it's like, okay, and there's two of them. There's one on each side. I completely figured out why you get two, but
It's the Garden of Eden.
yeah, it's like, well, I was thinking it's like right brain, left brain. If you're born in the left fallopian tube, you're going to be left brained. If you're born in the right fallopian tube, you're going to
I
be
know there's got to be something to that.
right. You got to be right brained.
Which tube did you
Like
come out of?
you're more analytical, or you're more an artist, a free thinker. So it's the only thing I can come up with right now. But anyways, but you can if you look at a lot of those hieroglyphs up in the ceiling there, through the eyes of conception and things of that nature. And a lot of the hieroglyphs, you got the sun with the Ouroboros, the snake around it, or it's got a tail, and it's like that represents the sperm and the egg, and then there's a big lotus flower in front of it, and then obviously the egg is going into the fallopian tube where the soul incarnates again. So a lot of it, to me, this is my own interpretations of hieroglyphs in Egypt.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's very, very profound and precious and highly, respected process that these beings were. They came in, they mixed the DNA, they created the animals, the different types of people, everything that they did was you know, more or less recorded on these you can call it the Hall of Records. What are they? They're the Hall of Records. You go in there, it's a hall, it's a record in hieroglyphs, because languages, you could write the language they were writing in, nobody'd understand it, but you could put the pictures down. And the boats, It's just an upside down, fallopian tube. If you turn them upside down, it's a boat. If you take the woman, it's the same exact image.
Yeah.
I can probably show it to you.
Actually, it reminds me of something that I was gonna just show you just a second ago.
Yeah. So yeah, but that's good. That's kind of like a portal. That's how they're showing you how the master souls come in, because there are master beings that come in. There you go. That's the ceiling I was looking at in Dendera.
Was it? Okay. This is Nut, the Egyptian goddess of the cosmos.
Okay.
And this is what they were saying, is that the pharaoh's tomb or the tunnels lead to the north, so that it comes in, hits Cygnus, which is the ovaries, the womb, the boat that you're talking about, but it's also like an upside down boat here.
Yeah.
And that the soul goes into Cygnus or the cosmic womb and then comes over into Orion.
Right.
For reincarnation.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's right on par with what I don't know if I can get that in there. You can see there's a picture of it. You can see
okay.
Yeah.
I can see it.
You can describe that. But yeah, you got the moon down there. I don't know. You get the moon here.
Okay, that's the moon.
You can see it there, and then the little boats, but you can see right here is got a time on this thing. It shuts itself off. You see before the picture, there's the sperm right there, the sperm and the lotus going through the fallopian tubes of the lotus, the flower. So that's the beginning of conception, and that's the birth. It's the birth of the the individual coming in. That's how the soul comes in. It starts in the fallopian tubes and works its way over.
Yeah.
But they did a masterful job showing it in little tiny boats with little little person going to the next stage.
That's interesting that the soul enters in the fallopian tubes or the eggs, as opposed to at the time of the heartbeat of conception.
Right.
That's a much more that would get into some interesting theories about matriarchal versus patriarchal descendancy.
Right.
If the soul's actually coming in the ovaries and it's not through the father.
Right. Yeah, it's possible. Yeah, it's very possible. But it's like it's that moment of conception that creates the opens the portal so the soul can come in. And I think there's higher souls, like there's what do you call them, more mature souls that come in and on Earth. I don't know how many what the numbers are, but I think there's a very elevated higher soul beings that come in, travel here, and that's how they get here. They come in through that portal. It's the same thing. It's the topic we're talking about. It's the moon. And if you look at that picture that I showed you, I'll send it to you. Maybe you can put it in the splice it in. But the moon's there. Hathor's upside down, just like when the baby comes through the canal, upside down, crowning. It's a process of the head crowning before the baby gets birthed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's all right there, but it's misinterpreted. You go over, that's not how they're looking at it, So it's, that's how I'm looking at it, recently.
You got some babies on the brain because you just have a
my
addition to the family.
Yeah. Liam John just showed up on the 11th of November. Yeah.
Oh, an 11/11 baby! Wow.
Yeah. Actually, 10, the 10th.
Oh.
Yeah. So a little baby, what was he, 8 pounds, 4 ounces, healthy, beautiful child. He just coming into he was born into a pandemic, but yeah, what are you gonna do, right? We'll take him. Yeah, we got babies on the mind. Yeah, exactly. Got babies on the mind, and it's my daughter's first, my first grandchild. So yeah.
Oh,
So
congratulations.
from her, anyways. Yeah, yeah.
So I'm gonna wrap this video up today. And then we
Okay.
can, but thank you everyone for watching. Thank you, John, for being here. Thank you for going over all of the flight information, because that's something that, yeah, it's just mind-blowing, like just to think about that. Just
Yeah, still
think about the
hope.
planes being snatched out of the sky.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, don't fly between the new moon and the first quarter. Note to self.
Yeah, and I was just even saying on the last show that I did that don't fly on December 21st, 2020, because that's when Jupiter and Saturn are conjunct with the sun
Right.
at
Right.
29 degrees Cygnus. That's why Cygnus is on the brain. And
Okay. Yeah.
that, with Jupiter having a corkscrew effect on the barycenter, I mean, that sounds like it could be a pretty wicked wormhole.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely. Yeah. Those two. When I first heard that, I couldn't believe it. I was like, that's a lot of power to be tossing the sun around like that, and you're so far away from it. Yeah, it's just absolutely incredible. But yeah, it's got to be portals and wormholes opening up all over the place,
Yeah.
and we're getting a taste of it here on Earth. But if anybody's any relatives of people who've lost loved ones on, there is still a little hope on flight, MH 370 in 2014. So just it's
So
possible they could pop
that
back up.
flight particularly is still suspended. It's still.
Yeah, it's still suspended. Yeah, I'm just going with the evidence that's following the same characteristics as the New York to Florida flight 214 to Miami. So if it's entirely possible, another 13 years they could pop back out. And but it's so don't give up hope. If you happen to be affected by that, well,
Yeah.
we all are as a family, human family, but it's just closer to home for relatives, yeah, loved ones, yeah.
Well, and it does seem like that most of these psyops or most of these agendas do have something always to do with airplanes.
Yes, you're going the speeds, you're going as fast as the portal's moving, that the like I said, the barycenter's moving at maybe 600 miles an hour, minus the Earth's rotational speed. So you're in that speed, and you're up in in that altitude, you can pop out. But the good thing is, it looks like you can come back.
Yeah.
You just got to be aware. Pilots need training too. Like, they need training. Like, you could actually go into one of these things, and it's not beyond the the knowledge and science of today. They can track the barycenter if they you know want to. And they can track it and get it on software, and put planes in the air and keep them away from those locations. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's also potential of using them to get across the Atlantic Ocean faster. To get in the right
maybe there's
place.
some type of science
Yeah,
where
you do a time
get
slip.
them.
Yeah, it was like 14 hours flight from Dubai to Boston. I was ready to jump out the emergency exit halfway over. I was like, I can't take it. it's like it's like 14 hours.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But yeah, you could actually line them up, and line this thing up and do a time slip. You pop in and out, you're over there in 1 hour. or something to that. I mean,
Right? Start using it to our
definitely.
benefit.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. If we so wish to, it's like, that's all we got to do is this is how it starts. Is people, a lot of this starts out in science fiction books. Then all of a sudden, 20 years goes by and it's a reality. So, two people like us start throwing ideas around. Is how I'm seeing it. What are you seeing? And next thing it ends up in a book and it ends up being consciousness, and it's like, well, it's not too far out.
Well, so then there might be hope getting to that type 3 society.
Yes, absolutely. This is how you do it.
Yeah.
Start using the natural vortexes and this nonsense of hopping in a tin can and flying to another planet. It's like it's just dangerous. You got pea-sized like meteorite can just go right through the whole fuselage and you're done. The mission's over. So things are traveling at like hundreds of thousands of miles an hour. A grain of sand going 100,000 miles an hour, just you're done. So look at the meteorite storms we get here on Earth. The Leonard meteor storm that comes, was it? Meteorite storm comes, I think it's in January, every January, February, or something like that. Maybe it's December, I forget. But yeah, if you happen to be flying through that, you're done. So yeah, it's just better
Yeah.
taking a portal. It's much easier,
Yeah.
much safer, it's quicker.
Would you like the meteorite trip or would you like the portal trip?
Yeah, exactly.
We got options on the flight menu today.
That's right. Get you a nice first class seat.
Okay, guys, so if
Exactly.
you've enjoyed this show today, thank you, John, for being here today.
Thanks for
And
having me.
go subscribe to John's channel, John Shaughnessy. I'll leave a link to subscribe to his channel. I'll leave a link for his books. And then I'll also leave a link to the 3 videos where he dives in on a very deep and detailed level, like all of the mechanics of these probabilities and these conceptualizations of the moon vortex in relationship to how the planes are being snatched up in the sky. So it's really interesting, and I really recommend you go and watch these videos. So all of the links will be in the description, and thank you so much for watching today.